I just want to encourage those people out there that feel like there's more that they can provide. There's more that they can do. There is. And when you feel that and when you sense that, don't be afraid. Just get up and do it.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. Championship Leadership Podcast. And we got Luke Mickelson with us today. What's up, Luke? How you doing?
Good, man. How you doing?
Really good. Championship Leadership. What comes to mind for you when you hear that? What does that mean to you?
Well, sports first.
Yeah.
Every time I think about championship, or even becoming a good leader, when I was young, that's what I craved. I guess I was typical sports jock guy, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah, and it teaches you a lot. I think sports teaches you a lot about becoming a leader and what that means, and corralling people together and working towards being champions. So that's the first thing that comes to mind.
100%. You a football guy?
I am. Yeah. I played in high school. I had a scholarship for college, and didn't end up going. I actually ended up doing serving a mission for my church, but yeah, loved it.
What school did you have a scholarship for?
Well, two really. Idaho State. There's a division. Yeah, there you go, Pocatello. That's right, a Bengal.
How old are you? I ended up playing with some guys from Idaho State.
Oh, really? Yeah, I graduated high school in '96. Yeah,
okay, I was right about that time. I graduated in '94, but these guys I think would have been around that age. Two guys. So I played all over the place, I guess, kind of, because I went to junior college and I went to Shadron State. Oh, wow. And we ended up getting three transfers actually from Idaho State to Shadron.
Oh, right on. Yeah. I had a buddy, he was a long snapper there. Okay. Played a little D end, and then when I got home, we both served our missions. We got home. He played some football. I went into my career, and so kind of regretted it a little bit. I always wanted to put on, strap down and put on the gear, but it was great.
Life takes us sometimes in places we didn't necessarily plan out for ourselves, right?
That's right.
So Idaho State, I cut you off. What was the other one?
Oh, and then my high school coach was a Montana State guy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, absolutely.
So, and they had a really good program. In fact, I went on my recruit trip there, and it's pretty funny. I was raised by a single mom. So my mom, she came with me, and she was the only mom, really the only female in that whole room. And me and my mom are very close. And so, it was kind of fun to share that moment with her. But, I liked the school. It was great. And it was always kind of a dream.
Yeah. If I remember right, that's around that time they had a pretty decent program.
They had a great program. Yeah.
Well, very cool. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about your story then? Maybe that journey and that path that took you to where you are today and what you're up to today.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, thanks for having me on. This is great.
Yeah, of course.
It's always, you're right. Life takes you in different directions, and you think you've got things planned out and mapped out. And I don't know about you, but they never turn out that way.
No, not really.
And I'm from a small town in Idaho, 3,700 people. My graduating class was 69, and it's I never dreamed of being in a big city, and I was a country boy, if you will, and worked on the farm, and
me too.
Right on. And as I graduated and went on to my mission and came back, certainly I had a little bit of college in me, came back, and then I got started on my career in outside sales. I figured I was a pretty good outside salesman and I could talk to people, enjoyed it, and so I did that for about 17 and a half, 18 years.
Okay.
And then of course got married, had a couple of kids, three kids. And I did the whole dad thing, coaching. I love to coach. And I served in my community, served in my church, at different various callings and things of that nature, all really geared towards the youth. I was kind of what you would call a scoutmaster. And then I was an activities guy, and it was 2012 was kind of a unique time for me, both in my religious life, if you will, as well as my business and professional and personal life. And I don't know, when you hit that 34, 35 age, people call it a midlife crisis, right?
Yeah.
For me, it was, I just kind of looked at myself going, okay, am I going down the path that I'm supposed to? I had a good job, I was making good money, and I had, I was actually going to be buying the business with my brother, and the whole career path was laid out.
Yeah.
But I just didn't really feel super fulfilled. I
Yeah.
think there was a pit in my stomach, both on a faith basis as well as my personal life,
Uh-huh.
and then professional life. I just didn't really feel like I was where I was supposed to be. And the time I was serving at what was called young men's president. Basically, it's a leader over the youth, the young men of the congregation.
Yeah.
And we found out through the grapevine, if you will, that there was a family in our small community that had kids sleeping on the floor. And I'd never really heard of that before. I never really realized that was an issue. And of course, I said, well, we'll take care of that. I'll take my Boy Scouts here, and we'll figure it out. And what was really fun was to see not only these kids as we started planning and preparing, how much they got into it. And it's really hard nowadays to get 12, 13, 14-year-old, any teenage boy out from behind a screen and really, focus on something that's maybe not themselves. And I really was excited about getting an Xbox controller out of their hands, and then and teaching them something. I mean, I'd never built furniture before in my life, but I thought, here's a great opportunity to teach these kids. Let's build something together, right? And when we started it, I mean, it was around Christmas time. It was, cold outside, so it was in my garage. And we had the best time. I mean, these kids for 3 or 4 nights building this bunk bed that I was kind of designing, patterning after my own daughter's bunk bed. And they had such a good time. That blew me away. And when they were done, of course, we delivered it to the family. I didn't unfortunately get to go. I was back cleaning my garage, but the kids took their parents, and the next day they just went off on what an amazing experience it was. Seeing these kids' face and the family, how they were excited. And I kind of felt cheated a little. I wanted to, I put this effort in, and I enjoyed it, but I wanted to see it for myself. And I remember, Ned, I was sitting on the couch, and I think we all experience this. I call it tiny moments. I think we all experience these moments where you're sitting on the couch and you don't, there's just something wrong. You don't know what it is. You can't complain about anything. I had a great job, great family, great position in life. And I just didn't feel, there was just something missing. And I remember, well, my kids, number one, were kind of complaining about the presents they weren't going to get, right? We're not getting another Xbox. We're not going to, get dirt bikes and stuff like that. I can't afford that. But and it just was piggybacked on this, this week before, this great experience of, building a bed for a child that didn't have one. I wanted my kids to feel the joy of giving, feel, the appreciation of what they had. And meanwhile, it just, that experience really filled me. I couldn't even tell you why. I just felt drawn to do that. It made me feel good. And so I just got up off the couch and walked out in the garage, and my family was like, where are you going? I said, I got leftover wood. I'm going to build another bed, and you're going to come help me. And for that week, me and the kids, we built this other bed, this other bunk bed, and it was a great experience. Of course, my kids, reacted the same way that the scouts did, and but we were left with, what do you do with this bed? I didn't know any kids in the community that weren't sleeping on the floor. And it was recommended that maybe I throw it on Facebook, one of these, buy, sell, trade. Deals. So I threw it on there, fully expecting that I'd get every Tom, Dick, and Harry wanting a free bed, and But what was really amazing was to hear the stories, not only of people that wanted to help, wanted to give back, wanted to be a part of it. That's a great idea. Can I come help? Blah blah blah. But also the stories of, well, I know this family. They've got 3 kids that are sleeping on the floor. Some of these kids haven't, slept in a bed. I'm like, oh, you got to be kidding me, right?
Yeah, wow.
So we finally, a friend of mine was working with this family that had a 6-year-old daughter who'd never slept in a bed. Or at least never had a bed of her own. She slept in the backseat of her mom's car, and they just got a house, came out of homelessness. And so we were pretty eager and excited to deliver this bed to this family. And when I walked into the house, I mean, you can imagine it's, they just came out of homelessness. So there was nothing. They didn't have anything in the house.
Sure.
But this little 6-year-old girl, I call her Haley, she pulled me into her back room to show me this. She was so excited to show me this room she had. And I mean, the only thing in the room was this pile of clothes in the corner.
Yeah.
And that's what she slept on.
Wow.
And so we were really excited to bring this bed to this child and to Haley. And, when we did and we started putting it together, you could see her kind of start realizing what it was. We started bringing the mattresses in, and, she just started just jumping up all over the place. She was super excited, hugging and kissing the bed, hugging us, and then I look over to the mom, who's just crying. I mean,
yeah,
I could see 6 years of struggle of, trying to provide for her daughter a good night's sleep. But, unfortunately, that's just not in the cards for over 3% of the population, really.
Wow.
Is what it is. And so that right there, Nate, I just said, you know what? College football on Saturday afternoon, or or fishing in the evening, it just didn't have the same luster as it did before.
Yeah.
And because I remember I looked over my friend, I said, for the couple of hours that me and my family did, built that, throughout the week, last week, this was well worth our time.
Oh man.
And I had no idea how bad child bedlessness really is, because it's so unknown. And the more we unravel that
suppose
onion,
they don't really talk about it either, right? They're embarrassed.
They're way embarrassed. Yeah. In fact, it's amazing. When I really started peeling this onion back, I learned from other organizations, whether they're transiting homelessness or foster kids or CPS or whatever, providing a bed for a child is one of the most hardest or difficult piece of furniture to find or to get donated. And I didn't, I mean, that blew me away. Like, really?
Right. Yeah.
And so I just said, no kid is going to sleep on the floor in my town if I had anything to do with it. And so
Beautiful.
that's how we started.
Awesome. And so that's what you guys you turned that into a business essentially.
Well, yeah. So, it was really it was my family at first, the first year, just my family. I had a lot of friends come and help. We used our Christmas budget to do it. And then the next year, my buddy came down from Boise, a couple hours away, and he's like, hey, let's do this up in Boise. And I'm like, great. Okay. So we did what we called a build in Twin Falls, and then drove up to Boise and did a build up there. And he did the same thing I did. And of course, we're financing it all. And then the third year came around, and people were like, hey, if you're a nonprofit, we can help you finance this, blah, blah, blah. So you got to be a 501c3. And I didn't know what those numbers meant.
Yeah. What?
I was like, okay, well, whatever. And of course, we applied and became an actual active 501c3 in November of 2014. And so from then, it was never, ever, Nate, going to be this big thing. In fact, I kind of cringe whenever I donate to a big nonprofit, because just never knew where the money went or how well it was spent and stuff like that. So when we started this, me and my friend Jordan Allen, I really wanted to make sure that it was very transparent, it was very clear, and wherever you spent or rather donated your money or your time, it stayed in that community. Mm-hmm. And so that's what we did. We started a nonprofit, and then some people started hearing about it. Some friends started hearing about it in other towns or other states. They wanted to do it there too. So we trained them how to do that. And all of a sudden we had 6, 7, 8 chapters, we called them, spread out through the country in 4 or 5 different states. And then in 2018, this little guy named Mike Rowe, we all love Mike Rowe. He was doing this Facebook watch series called Returning the Favor. If you haven't seen it, they did 100 episodes.
Okay.
I think 4 seasons. We were season 2, episode 9.
Oh, wow.
And we were viewed by like 10 million people, and that blew it up. We went from 9 chapters to right now. We just finished training we train about every quarter, and we're at 346 trained chapter presidents now. and we operate in 4 different countries. So we really blew up. Yeah.
Amazing. So what's the name for the listener?
Oh, so it's called Sleep in Heavenly Peace. Our website is shpbeds.org. So you can go check us out there. It's funny. I ran into, I'd never heard this before until I ran into Rob Schneider. I'm in the airport, like one of the airport lounges in Salt Lake. And I look over and I told my wife, I'm like, I think that's Rob Schneider over there. Yeah. She's like, no. And I'm like, I'm serious. Then you hear him talking. I'm like, oh yeah, that's Rob Schneider. That's him. And so I just went over, just said hi to him. Super nice guy. I mean, he was just amazing. He came over and we sat and talked Sleep in Heavenly Peace for a while. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to help you guys out, whatever I can do. And so we kind of text back and forth. And I remember he sent me a text going, the first thing I'd probably say is the name of your organization sounds like a funeral home. Yeah, maybe it does.
I could see how you could. I didn't. Yeah.
That's well, I originally called it Beds for Babes, but that's not a very good Google search.
Right. So, no doubt.
Yeah. No, it's been good. It was around Christmas time, so Silent Night is one of my favorite songs. It's an all-time classic, and it's really emanated what we wanted the family and the children to feel is having a good night's sleep. And and we realized as we started doing more of this and seeing the effects of poor sleep, and not just poor sleep, what the effects have on children. I mean, it's behavioral issues,
school.
School, right. Relationships, family unity. There's, a lot of these kids sleep with their, 4 or 5 to a bed, or they're sleeping with their parents. And, there's some attachment issues. I mean, there's just a gambit of all these issues when a child doesn't have, number one, a good night's sleep, and number 2, their own bed to sleep in.
Right.
And so when we started seeing these issues and we're still just at the cusp of understanding really what the effects are. And we're working with other organizations like Pure Z and Procter & Gamble and their sleep aids for children's, sleeping habits. We're working with them to try to find more research on what really is the benefits and the downsides, rather, of not having a good night's sleep. And it's remarkable. And it's a need that no one knows even exists out there. So we feel like we're really trying to tackle something that's new, and unknown.
So this is so it turned from that to this is a full blown what you guys are doing and building and growing, right?
Oh yeah, we build 50,000 beds a year.
Wow.
We've surpassed our 150,000 beds really, and that started really ramping up just a couple of 3 years ago. Last year we did 42. This year our goal is 50, and we just keep bringing more and more chapters on. And what I found, Nate, was, this is a community issue, and we could have just built beds in our garage and shipped them out. But really, we solved 2 problems. We solve, obviously, child bedlessness by providing beds for kids, but we feel like we solve a community issue, and that's there are millions of great people out there that want to give back. They want to help. They want to make a difference. They just don't know how, and providing a bed for a kid is something that strikes home for a lot of people. And so we feel like if we just provided an avenue for them to do that, provide an avenue, teach them how to do it. They don't have to go through the monkey motion of, getting IRS approval and all this jazz. If we can just provide a platform for people to build beds and deliver beds in their own community, that's how this is going to get solved. And it worked. I mean,
that's incredible.
What's crazy is none of these chapter presidents we have are paid. They're just, they're just doing it out of the kindness of their own heart, working 30 hours a week on this sometimes. And it's amazing. There's just amazing people out there, and they're solving the problem in their own communities.
What's the process for somebody that wants to start a chapter that's listening is like, man, this is awesome. How do I become a part of that?
Oh, we'd love it. So it's very simple. You go to our website, shpbeds.org, and there's a tab called Start a Chapter. And when you click on it, you'll learn a little bit more about what that is. Our ultimate goal when someone wants to start a chapter is really trying to help them understand what they get into, right? And we have people that are retired to people that have full-time jobs. And we encourage people, look, you know, you can't do this yourself. You want to get a group of people to come and be a part of this. You know, many hands make like work, right? And that's important to spread that out. But if they go to that, they can click on that, they fill out a little bit of information, and then they're sent a webinar, if you will. They watch the webinar that's about a 50,000 foot view of what a chapter president does and how we operate. And then we send them a little application, basically just lets people understand like some of the questions they'll are in there, so they know what they might be getting into, things that what are their good, what their strengths and their weaknesses are. And then they're invited to an actual webinar or a Zoom meeting with what's called a regional support lead. So we have the country split up in 9 regions. We have 9 RSLs or regional support leads, and they answer questions, you know, live questions at that point. And then if you're still wanting to move forward, then we fly you out to Lehi, Utah, where our training center is right now.
Okay.
And yeah, we train you up.
That's incredible. I love it.
Yeah, it's super fun. And you know, we're sponsored by Lowe's. They're our number 1 sponsor, and many other individual community sponsors as well. But they help us get people on board with the tools that they need, that first training build that they have. And once that happens, then people just take off. It's awesome.
Yeah, incredible.
Yeah,
man, I love it. Love hearing stories like that. So I know you talked a lot about like your mission and serving the church. Is that still a big part of this organization?
Not at all. You know, we're not a faith-based nonprofit. Okay. I didn't want to, I think it's important to realize we're all humans out here, and whatever brings you to, you know, whatever you're going to do, whether it's helping kids without beds, or dogs, or ocean, or, you know, whatever brings you to that is great. And it's a personal thing. But when it comes to Sleep in Heavenly Peace, what we wanted to provide is just a very clear opportunity for anybody to feel like they can make a difference, whether you have a religious background or not. And really it's more about humans helping humans. It's more about us coming together as a community, and us coming together as human beings, for crying out loud, just to make life better for us, for the kids that we're trying to bring up in this world, to bring communities together, to realize that, you know, this is how it's going to happen, and this is the best way it's going to happen, is doing it together. And so so we're non-faith based. We got a lot of people that are obviously very religious in the organization, but
very cool. What's the vision for you guys? I always like to ask this question because tying back into leadership, I think great leaders, championship leaders, have incredible vision. So what's the vision and the impact you're looking to make ultimately, 5-10 years from now?
Absolutely. You know, I get that question quite a bit. The funny thing is, oh my gosh, 10 years ago, I would have said, hey, I'm just glad I'm building, building in my garage on the weekends. You know? But our ultimate goal is to provide this avenue for anybody across the world. We're already in 4 different countries. We're trying to find a way and develop a way to transition this platform into other countries. My goal, my responsibility, is shifting a little bit. I've always been kind of the manager, the executive director of, just bringing this beast up to a stable, managed organization, and now I'm actually stepping more into a founder role, which is exactly what you said. The far thinking, both with sponsorships and things of that nature, but trying to reach and provide that or open those gates to how can we expand this. I mean, there's it's roughly greater than, I should say, 3% of the total population. So there's 7-8 million kids in the United States right now, just the United States, that don't have beds. And that number keeps growing. So, when we're only doing 50,000 a year, and we're the largest bed building charity in the world, the only other one I know, well, I know a few of them now, but they only build maybe 1,000. So all of us combined aren't even scratching the surface of really what the problem is. And so we're just constantly trying to find more people in communities that we don't have chapters in, or those people that are wanting to help, to find the chapter closest to them, and you can go to our website, again, shpbeds.org, and there's a find a chapter, and you can find the chapter closest to you and help out. They would love the help. It goes a long way.
Well, here's a question I usually ask, but I'm just thinking inside of this journey with SHP beds. I imagine it hasn't always been roses, right? So like, is there a critical moment for you maybe inside of this journey where, you're like, you got to either go left or right and you're trying to figure out which way? Obviously you did choose the path that you had, which has you guys where you're at today and on the trajectory that you're going. But, if you chose differently, could be a very different look and feel to what you guys are up to.
No question. We back in 2017, I was still fully employed. I was, taking over this company and my career and financial future was pretty much set. But again, I faced this hole in my heart, and my employer knew I was doing Sleep in Heavenly Peace, on the side, but it just got bigger and bigger, and a lot of my time now was, especially my spare time, obviously was focused on Sleep in Heavenly Peace, and it got to the point where, my employer finally said, okay, look, you gotta choose here. We can't. And I totally agreed with them. We can't, have your focus somewhere else when we need to run this company and so forth and so on. And I was executive vice president of sales and marketing. And so, I had a really key role. And the funny thing was, Nate, it sounds, to quit your job with no other job in line is, financial suicide.
Right. Not recommended.
Not recommended. But you know what? It was the hardest, but the easiest decision I had to make. And, I just knew whatever it was, I'd land on my feet, finding a job somewhere. But I just could not give up Sleep in Heavenly Peace. I would, if I had done that, even if it didn't go anywhere, I would have my whole life just would have regretted it. I didn't play college football like I could have. There's all these little regrets, and that was the one that I just couldn't put down. And in fact, there was a time in that 2017 where I said, okay, I told my employer, okay, I'm going to back off. And I told my friends, hey, look, I got to really back off. You guys are going to have to take the reins of this. That lasted like 3 days. And then I was like, I can't do it. And it was a big leap of faith. But boy, it sure paid off, and I think, and I tell people, I gave a TED talk on tiny moments and passion and purpose. And I believe anyways, that really was the turning point, was understanding and realizing, what, measuring success in my life used to be how many zeros behind my paycheck, and unfortunately that is a lot of people's views, when really, success is what you're passionate about and what comes of your passion. If you like to make music, go make music. If you like to dance, go dance. Whatever it is, if that's your passion, then you can walk away from this life knowing that you did what you love to do, and that's not making money per se. It's really your passion. And this, I had no idea that building a bed for a child was going to turn into a passion of mine that it has. But when it did, it was game over for me. I knew what I was going to do.
Yeah. That's amazing. That's kind of how it usually happens, right?
Yeah,
So,
sure.
I love it.
Sure.
Beautiful story. Well, as we start to wrap this up, if there's one or two things you could share for the listener that if they were to implement today would help move their life forward today, what would that be?
React on those tiny moments. Like I said, I gave a talk on we all have those. We whether we're sitting on the couch or sitting watching a movie or maybe at work or whatnot, you get these little tiny specks of inspiration, and sometimes you act on them and they might not come of much, but the ones that you never know. And I just look back in 2012, sitting on that couch going, you know what, if I didn't get off the couch, where would I be now? And so I just want to encourage those people out there that feel like there's more that they can provide. There's more that they can do. There is. Mm-hmm. And when you feel that, and when you sense that, don't be afraid. Just get up and do it. You know, go and do, we had a chapter president on our podcast, Humans Helping Humans. He said, you know what, I don't care what it is, just go do something. Because that something will turn into something else, which will turn into something else. And then you're going to find what you're truly passionate about.
Yeah, amen. Love it. Beautiful. All right. Well, what's the main way? I know the website again is shpbeds.org.
Yes, sir. Yes. Okay. Go there. Check us out. You can donate. You can donate directly to any chapter you want your money to go. You can pick that. You can find a chapter to be involved with. If there's no chapter close by and this awesome. Rings your bell, we'd love to have you as chapter president and come on our family and help, more and more kids find beds to sleep in.
Yeah. How about yourself? Are you active in social media or anything?
Oh yeah. Yeah. We have all sorts of handles.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Sleep in Heavenly Peace is on every platform, and, and every one of our chapters has a Facebook page. Really, Facebook that was the driving force, and it continues to be the driving force for a lot of our marketing. But we're reaching to more corners of the social media area and platform to reach different demographics that we hope that inspire them as well, to do something. So
well, this has been amazing, Luke. Thank you so much for the time. For the listeners, stay right here. If you've enjoyed this conversation, we got more to come for you. But thanks again, Luke.
My pleasure.
Conversation.
Thank you for having me.